Hello everyone, welcome back to Believers Science Academy Bengaluru. This is topic of the day. Today we'll discuss a very interesting and a very engaging topic that is about a small tiny island that is called as Tuvalu. Why we are discussing this Tuvalu and what is its significance, why is it in use, we'll discuss. So the topic is Tuvalu, the sinking nation and the world's first climate visa. This is very important. So in this video, we'll discuss a story of climate survival and global cooperation. How the world is coming together to talk or fight about climate change. So about Tuvalu, Tuvalu is found between Australia and Hawaii in the Pacific Ocean. So this is the Great Pacific Ocean and it is present here. So this is Australia. The largest country to Tuvalu is Australia and it is found in Pacific Ocean. So you can see all these Polynesian Micronesian countries, Kiribati, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, New Caledonia, Fiji, Tonga, all these island nations which are together called as Polynesia or Micronesia are found here. So the size is only 26 square kilometers, which is makes it the fourth smallest country in the world. Capital is Funafuti, and the people and the language here spoken is people are only 11,000 people, approximately 11,000. The languages are English and Tuvaluan, which is almost similar to a tribal languages in spoken in Hawaii. And the currency is Tuvalu dollar, which is pegged to Australian dollar. Very important. Remember this. Pegged to Australian dollar. So this is Tuvalu. Remember, it is present in Pacific Ocean, and the largest country near to it is Australia. Next, geographically, it is naturally formed island, and it is not volcanically formed. It is actually chain of coral and atoll reefs. Okay, coral and atoll reefs. Highest elevation is only 4.5 meters above the sea levels. If this is the land and if this is the sea, the height approximately between those two is only 4.5 meters. Just imagine, only 4.5 meters. So in case if there is any global warming, if there is any snow melt in any of the world, and if the snow or the sea level rises just by 4.5 meters, the first country to be submerged under this will be Tuvalu. That is why it is in use. And no rivers are found here and relies entirely on the rainwater, hot, humid and tropical climate year around, which makes this one of the major tourist destinations in this particular nation or in this particular region. This is the rising threat. What is the rising threat? The rising seas threaten complete submersion of the islands. The low-lying atolls are extremely vulnerable to even small increases in sea levels, making Tuvalu one of the most climate-threatened nations on the earth, which makes it a very interesting case study as well. Next, what is the political system? It was previously under the colony of UK, United Kingdom. So it was similar to India. It was under the control of United Kingdom, which got independence from United Kingdom in 1978. After which established its own sovereign government. And the government structure is it is a democratic, parliamentarian, but non-republic. Why non-republic? Because the head of the state is not elected, because their head of the state is monarch of UK, is considered as monarch of Tuvalu as well. So parliamentary democracy under the constitutional monarchy with King Charles III as head of the state through the Commonwealth. We all know the Commonwealth. Commonwealth is a grouping of all the countries which were previously under the control of British, previously under the control of United Kingdom. So all countries together are called as Commonwealth. So here the head of United Kingdom, who is also the head of Commonwealth, acts as head of Tuvalu as well. So though it is a democratic, though it is parliamentary, it is not republic. Whereas in India, it is republic because the head of the state president is elected by the people, be it direct or indirect. Then political landscape, there is no formal political parties here. The prime minister is elected by members of parliament in a unique system. So not necessary to go into all this unique system and all. Just remember there are no political parties. Now, economic overview. Tuvalu's economy is small and heavily dependent on external support and mainly dependent on economy such as tourism and agriculture. Subsistence farming and fishing dominate the daily life of most of the Tuvaluans. and their economy majorly focuses on copra exports. Copra, which is a byproduct of coconut processing, a traditional agricultural product from the coconut processing, and stamps and licenses. Income from postage stamps and fishing licenses also helps in economically. And remittances, money sent home by the Tuvaluans working abroad, mainly the Philippines, Australia, New Zealand, etc. And the foreign aid dependent on the international aid and climate funds. All these small island nations are majorly dependent on these climate funds. What are these climate funds? For example, UNFCCC has adaptation and mitigation funds. Adaptation and mitigation funds. Under these adaptation and mitigation funds, some funds are uh, exclusively earmarked for least developed countries and small island nations. So, strategic development fund and strategic infrastructure fund or special infrastructure fund. All these things are specifically earmarked for these small countries only. So, they will be paid to these countries. So, you can see here, according to the GDP, Tuvalu is the least economically developed country in the world. So, which is around only 0.08 billion, approximately 80 million, which is less than what Amazon earns in a day, which is less than what Apple or major countries earns in a day. So next is Nauru, Marshall Islands, Kiribati, Palau, Micronesia, Tonga, Dominica, Sao Tome and Principe and Samoa. All these countries are nothing but small island nations which are present in the Pacific Ocean. So they are economically very dependent on other countries. So economically very vulnerable countries. Now adding to that economical issue is the climate crisis. What is this climate crisis? First is the rising sea levels. Sea levels are rising faster than the global average, threatening the entire nation. Because as I told you, just a small change in the sea level is going to submerge the whole country. Then flooding and erosion, regular flooding because of the uh, because of tsunamis and because of cyclones, etc. And saltwater intrusion in the fresh water and severe coastal erosion. They already have lesser fresh water because they are dependent completely on the rainwater. Even if the rainwater is corrupted by the salt water, then they will have lesser amount of water for consumption, water for agriculture and other daily uses. And finally, uninhabitable by 2050. According to United Nations report, this island on the current trend of climate change, current trend of rise in temperature will become uninhabitable by 2050, will become completely uninhabitable within 25 years, that is by 2050. What do you mean by uninhabitable? Meaning they will have no economic activities, they will be not able to support agriculture, there will be no fishing, and most importantly there will be no land to survive there itself. Okay, next. So this is Australia Tuvalu Falepili Treaty. What is this Falepili Union Treaty? Falepili in Tuvaluan means neighborly care. So who is doing the neighborly care here? Australia and Tuvalu are doing neighborly care to each other. But majorly it is Australia which is doing the neighborly care to Tuvalu, which is a bond of mutual support and protection. So what are the key areas of cooperation here? First is the climate migration. That is, there will be pathways for Tuvaluans to relocate to Australia as climate refugees. And then security cooperation. Defense and security partnerships between the two nations is also provided here. Because Tuvaluans are only 11k or 11,000 in the population, I don't think they have a proper army or military for themselves. So they are dependent entirely on Australia for their survival. And then disaster response, because it is an island nation, it is more prone to tsunami, is more prone to cyclones. So even in that reason, that regard, Australia has agreed to support them. Coordinated response to natural disasters and climate emergencies. So under this climate emergency, Australia and Tuvalu has brought world's first climate visa. What is this climate visa? It is a Pacific engagement visa. So it will be provided for those people who are threatened by the climate change in their own country. So not for any other reason, only those who are threatened by the climate change in their own country. So annual allocation will be there. Only 280 Tuvaluans per year may live and work in Australia under this groundbreaking program. And permanent residency. Full permanent residency status with access to healthcare, education, and social services will be provided here. And finally, historical recognition. First visa in the world specifically recognizing climate vulnerability as ground for migration. We all know the different types of visas: refugee visas, work dependent visas, etc. etc. Here, this refugee is given to climate vulnerability. Very important, climate vulnerability. So this is about climate visa. That is why we are discussing this news. Next, public response and the challenge. 80% of the Tuvaluans already applied for this visa. 80% of the Tuvaluan populations has applied for the climate visa in 2025, and annual limit is only 280, as I told you. Visas available each year under the treaty, and 11k total population. Entire population of Tuvalu who is facing this decision, they will be able to relocate to Australia in the coming years before 2050, where it becomes uninhabitable. And then hope for safety. Families see opportunity for secure future, better education, and escape from the rising waters. And finally, fear of loss. That is concerns about brain drain, cultural identity erosion, and the disappearance of Tuvaluan heritage. Because they have a little tradition which will be submerged into the great tradition of Australia. They have concerns about their heritage, Tuvaluan heritage, being taken away by larger countries like Australia. But better than submerging into the water, you can say. But there will be some opportunities where they can bring together their own cultural identity in Australia as well. So, what is a message to the world? What is the significance of this climate treaty? It is no nation should disappear because of climate change. This was the word Prime Minister of Tuvalu's words. This was a speech given by Prime Minister of Tuvalu. He says that no nation should disappear because of climate change. This particular climate visa sets a global precedent. That is, first international recognition of climate mobility could inspire similar agreements for Kiribati, Maldives, and other vulnerable island nations who are at high vulnerability to climate change, to sea level rise. So these Maldives are directly looking at India for the support. But since India and Maldives relations are the way they are at the moment, I don't think there will be climate visa. And shared responsibility. That is, migration and adaptation are collective duties. Protecting the small islands means protecting our entire planet. Then, climate justice now. Climate change is not tomorrow's issue, it is today's survival story, requiring immediate global action. So, we can say we used to think of climate change as a futuristic thing, but it is not futuristic anymore. It is now, it is reality. Many people, planet, animals, biodiversity are facing the threat of climate change. So any action should focus on the present day instead of focusing on the future. So that is the message given out by this climate visa, which sets as a global precedent, and most of the countries or the rest of the countries are sure to follow this climate visa model. So this is the topic of the day. If you like the video, then please hit the like button, comment on it, and also share with your friends. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you don't miss a notification. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.